The person on the other end is just telling you, hey, we have this plan in your Ellis County area. It's a no premium. That's great. When people hear no premium, they're going, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Sure.
But when they get it and they eventually start having claims, then they will say, that's not what the guy told me. This is not supposed to be happening.
Prescription drug plans in Medicare. Open enrollment in Medicare. Where do you start? I'm Becky Kiser, Hayes Post and Eagle Radio News reporter, and I'm talking to Gene Stramel with IPI Financial Services in Hayes on this episode of the Post Podcast.
Right now, it's a tremendous time for advertising for people that are in the Medicare Part D or the Medicare Advantage programs. And so right now, the media, especially TV, in the mail, people are getting inundated by all kinds of information. And whether it's good for them or not, they're just being overloaded with information.
So how do we weed out the bad and find the good like you and IPI?
Well, I think you really got to do a little bit of your homework nowadays. Years ago, Medicare was fairly easy. You got into Medicare and you bought your Medicare health plans and things. And then when they got away from having your drug plan built into your health plan a number of years ago, then you had to go out and research and find a good drug plan based on who you're what medications you're taking, who's your pharmacy. So this has created a whole nother animal out there that people have to look at every year because things are changing almost every year in that market. So people need to sit down and do a little bit of homework, contact a local person such as us to review what they have, what they're doing. And then we give recommendations, and then we let the consumer make that final decision. And so we recommend that you just go out and try to find somebody locally that has your best interests and not theirs. Okay. So a lot of telephone calls are made to consumers now. People are getting inundated by emails. The telephone has been really bad this year because people are getting multi-calls a day from call centers.
Just out of the blue?
Out of the blue.
Oh, wow.
They know that they may be in the Medicare age. And so they try to get them into, especially the Medicare Advantage programs are very popular. They're not real popular in our part of the world, but when somebody's calling you from Florida or California, their job is to basically sell you something that's in your area. And so, and many times they buy something they shouldn't be buying because it doesn't work well in their area.
And they don't really know that.
And that's the problem. The person on the other end is just telling you, hey, we have this plan in your Ellis County area. It's a no premium. That's great. When people hear no premium, they're going, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Sure.
But when they get it and they eventually start having claims, then they will say, that's not what the guy told me. This is not supposed to be happening. And that's where the problem begins. And so that's why you're best to have a local person that really takes the interest to heart. And then people can come talk to you during the year. You're in the office. Where the other people, they sell it to you, you'll never hear from them again. And then they're going to leave it up to you to get to the company and try to iron out the problems.
And that, I'm sure, is a lot of red tape.
Yes. And unfortunately, a lot of our services went overseas. And so when you are calling a company maybe about a problem or an issue, unfortunately, a lot of customer service has went overseas. And so, of course, when that comes along, you're going to have difficulty understanding people, and they're going to have a difficulty understanding you. So that is becoming a big issue, and that's why if you can use a local person for your health plans and drug plans, we can help you, and we can or maybe help you take care of these claims where we don't need to go to customer service overseas.
So you just answered my next question. You can assist somebody that maybe has gotten into a situation that they realize, this is not going to work for me.
Right. We get in a situation where, why is this drug not covered? I thought it was covered, and then we come find out maybe it's not on approved list. And so how do we get those approved? And then maybe somebody's got an issue with a claim or something. And so that's where we can come in and guide them through the right way. So we kind of take that off their back. And so this way, because we get a lot of seniors who don't, we're talking 80-year-old people that are trying to deal with somebody in Philippines. Very difficult at times. So that's why we come in and we can take the load off those people, and we can usually take care of their problems.
Well, I think, and yes, 80-year-olds, probably maybe it's a little bit more difficult, but I think the whole thing is kind of complicated for most average people. That's why we need people like you to do that guiding. Right. And as you say, the local contact is so important, because we can just come into your office, make an appointment, come see you, talk to you about it, and you can guide us, as you said.
Yeah. That's a big issue because these things change every year. They're getting a little more complicated every year. Because
why is that?
Well, especially when you talk to Medicare Part D plans, those companies tend to work their deals with their pharmacy. So if you have a big company that, for instance, their preferred pharmacy is Walmart, and so you move your drug plan if you're filling at the Walmart pharmacy. Now, next year, that may change. Now, Walmart may be out of there as preferred pharmacy. Now they're standard. And so that becomes an issue, because now we have to worry about pharmacies, and are they in the preferred or standard status? And so we've been having to deal with that many years, because they cut their deals with the big stores and the little independents out there. So that is one big thing we have to watch every year.
You said, Gene, you were talking about the prescription drug plans, Part D, that you will sit down with people and talk to them about the drugs that they're currently that they're on, that have been prescribed to them. Does that make a difference in what you actually have? Do those get covered or not in some cases?
Yeah, and it's based on what they're taking, based on who's their pharmacy. So, we can put that into our system, and it tells us which company will be the best for you. And so based on the information. So, if you have neighboritis sit in and you have a plan, a really reasonable cost plan, and then your neighbor comes to me and says, I want the same plan as you have. Well, but I'm taking a lot more medications. My pharmacy is different. So, but then that becomes a whole nother issue. So it's different for everybody.
We were talking about the advertising on television and the mail. I've gotten a lot of that too. They're talking about the enrollment period that started back in October. I think we talked to you about that then at the kickoff of that, and we're coming up on the closing of it. What happens during this enrollment period? What steps do people need to take, Gene?
This open enrollment is for Part Ds and then Medicare Advantage. Medicare Advantage are health plans that are designed by county. Not real popular out here, and some of the big problems are with Medicare Advantage is your network of doctors and hospitals. We don't have a lot of doctors and hospitals that want to take these programs. So these people are kind of, when they buy these programs, somebody sold them saying, hey, look at this product. It's a zero cost to you. But when you get down to it, is your doctor in that network? Is it the hospital in your network? Because once you find that out when you have a claim, you're going to be truly disappointed, because you're going to get hung with a lot of the costs involved. Part D is another thing you need to look at. And everybody should look at it once a year and just see where you're at. It never used to be that way. People would keep their programs for a couple of years, 3 years, not move them. We're moving people yearly now because everything keeps changing.
You were telling me, we were talking about some of these third-party players that have been making cold calls on people, trying to get them enrolled because they're eligible. But apparently Medicare is trying to crack down on some of these people.
Yeah, Medicare is because a lot of the problems that get called into Medicare are big problems with call centers. These people sit somewhere in the United States and just call people randomly to say, hey, we know you're on Medicare. How about, have you looked at this plan here in your county? Those types of things. Well, people are buying these things. They don't work out for them. So they file a complaint with Medicare. And so Medicare has been trying to have some new rules and regulations, and it's very difficult to enforce it. We're lumped in the same bin as those people. So there's certain things we cannot do, cannot say, but to control that has been very difficult because we've had new information put out to us that we have to do education every year to continue with our license and be able to sell these products. Yes. And so we have to learn all the rules and what we can and cannot do. And so they've been cracking down on these people. But, I get so many calls every day from people that are just complaining that why am I getting all these calls per day? And, people are not even pick their phones up anymore. And that's some of the problem why people don't answer their cell phones is because they probably got 3 or 4 different solicitations that are coming through and nobody wants to pick their phone up anymore. So they're trying to crack down on those folks. And, I just see that it hasn't really changed any. So, but that's where we come in, where we really care about our consumer, our client out there. We do what's best for them.
Can you tell us what you cannot say under the regulations?
Basically, the big thing this year was if we're contracted with all the Medicare drug providers or Medicare Advantage providers, if we don't represent them all, then we have to tell the consumer that we don't represent them all. We're going to show you what we have to sell. If you're wanting to see the other options out there, then we have to send them to Medicare.gov or they can call Medicare. Majority of the thing, we do represent most of the carriers out there. I think there's just a couple that we cannot speak on their behalf. So that's kind of the new rule. They all have to be contracted with these companies. And if not, then you have to tell the consumer that you are not.
But they're always welcome to do the research themselves.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. There's plenty of websites out there. We have websites that we can send people to.
You have some educational videos yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we do a lot of those because we have some videos we have on our websites that just, people want to sit in the comfort of their own home and just learn about this. Those are great.
That's probably a good idea to do that before making an appointment with you. That way you can kind of get your questions lined out and figure out what it is exactly you want to know. And then you can guide them in the right direction and answer those questions. Yeah.
Yeah, the videos, we got a new one we just acquired that basically if people want to call me and say, hey, I'm just turning Medicare age, what am I supposed to be doing?
That's what I need.
Yeah, and I can send you this link, and that'll take you exactly, tells you what all Medicare is, what you need to be doing, Part D, health plans, everything. It's all in one video, and it's really, really simple.
And I would, again, and I haven't started investigating this. I need to make an appointment with you, but I suppose dealing with the federal government, you need to traipse lightly. You need to follow the guidelines and the rules and the regulations and the laws.
Right. There's certain things you can do when you come into Medicare. What do you need to have? Is that, Medicare Part A, Part B, am I covered still under an employer? What do I don't need if I'm staying working and under a group plan? So the rules are different there versus someone that is retiring and has to come across to Medicare for everything. So, there's a lot of things out there that needs to be discussed.